In the highest mountains on Earth and the deepest forests of North America, legends whisper of a creature that walks like us, but is not us. For centuries, explorers, hunters, monks, and scientists have searched for it. They've found footprints, hair samples, strange screams echoing through the night, but never proof. It goes by many names: the Yeti, Bigfoot, the abominable snowman, the wild man of the woods. Every culture seems to know it. Every region tells its story. And yet, it remains the most elusive being ever spoken of. Half human, half beast, and entirely unknown. Tonight, we'll journey across the globe, from the icy peaks of the Himalayas to the mist-covered forests of the Pacific Northwest. We'll examine ancient myths, scientific evidence, and shocking eyewitness accounts. Because what if these creatures are real? And what if they've been watching us all along? Long before the name Yeti echoed through Western imagination, the people of Tibet and Nepal already knew the creature well. In their language, Yeti means the rock thing. To the Sherpa people, it was neither god nor demon, but something ancient, powerful, and sacred. In 1832, a British explorer named B.H. Hodgson was trekking through northern Nepal when his guide suddenly froze. Far away, a dark, tall, bipedal figure was moving through the snow. It stood upright like a man, but was covered in thick reddish-brown fur. When Hodgson's men fired their guns in panic, the creature vanished behind the ridges, leaving only massive footprints. Decades later, in 1921, during the first British expedition to Mount Everest, Lieutenant Colonel Howard Barry reported seeing strange tracks in the snow. The Sherpas called it the Meto Kangmi, which was translated in English newspapers as the abominable snowman. Suddenly, the world had a new obsession. But for the Sherpas, the Yeti was no joke. It was a guardian of the mountains, a protector of sacred places, and a reminder that the Himalayas still belong to nature, not man. Monasteries even kept relics: a scalp, a mummified hand, bones, said to belong to the creature. Scientists dismissed them as hoaxes. But the monks? They would smile quietly and say some truths are not meant for outsiders. Half a world away, in the dark pine forests of North America, another legend took shape. Indigenous tribes told stories of a giant hairy man who lived in the woods and watched over the animals. They called it Saskats, later known as Sasquatch. Then, in 1958, the modern Bigfoot legend exploded. A California bulldozer operator named Jerry Crew discovered enormous human-like footprints near his work site, each print nearly 16 inches long. He cast the tracks in plaster and brought them to the local newspaper. The headline read, "Giant Footprints Puzzle Builders in Bluff Creek." And just like that, Bigfoot was born. But it was in 1967 that a short, grainy film changed everything. The Patterson-Gimlin film. Shot in Northern California, it showed a large, fur-covered creature walking upright through a clearing, glancing back at the camera before disappearing into the trees. To this day, no one has definitively debunked it. Skeptics say it was a man in a suit. Experts in biomechanics argue the creature's movements, muscle structure, and proportions were unlike any human. If it was a hoax, it was the most convincing ever made. Over the years, thousands of witnesses have claimed to see Bigfoot in Washington State, Oregon, British Columbia, even the swamps of Florida, where locals call it the skunk ape. They all describe the same creature: 8 feet tall, long arms, black or brown hair, a strong musky odor, and eyes that glow red in the dark. Some say it's an undiscovered species of giant ape. Others, a relict population of Gigantopithecus, a prehistoric ape thought to have gone extinct 300,000 years ago. And some believe it's something else entirely, something that walks between worlds. The Yeti and Bigfoot are not alone. From the frozen tundra of Russia to the jungles of Sumatra, tales of wild, human-like creatures appear everywhere. In Siberia, Locals speak of the misty, a hairy, ape-like being that steals food from villages and is sometimes seen near caves or rivers. Russian explorers have recorded footprints and even captured stories from people claiming to have interacted with one. Unlike Bigfoot, misty is said to be smaller, perhaps 5 to 6 feet tall, and more human in its behavior. In China, the legend becomes the Yeren, the WildMan of the Hubei province. Since the 1970s, the Chinese government has actually conducted expeditions to search for this mysterious being. Eyewitnesses, farmers, soldiers, park rangers describe a reddish-brown, man-sized ape that walks upright and flees when encountered. In Indonesia, the creature is called orang pendek, meaning short person. Unlike Bigfoot, this one is small, only about 4 feet tall, but incredibly strong, fast, and intelligent. Western researchers have found strange footprints deep in the jungles of Sumatra and hair samples that defy known classifications. Even in Australia, the Yowie legend tells of a giant hairy man haunting the outback, and Aboriginal oral histories about it date back thousands of years. How is it that every culture on Earth speaks of the same thing? A tall, hairy, human-like creature that avoids civilization, yet always lurks just beyond its borders. Coincidence, shared myth, or a memory of something we once knew? Modern science has not ignored these stories. In 2013, Oxford geneticist Brian Sykes launched a global DNA study to analyze dozens of hair samples attributed to Yetis and Bigfoots. The results were fascinating. Most turned out to be from bears, wolves, or other known animals. But 2 Himalayan samples matched the DNA of an ancient polar bear that shouldn't exist anymore. Some scientists suggested it could be a hybrid species, a rare bear unknown to modern taxonomy. Others speculated it could explain Yeti sightings, a bear that walks upright and lives in the highest snows. Still, not all evidence fits neatly into zoology. Footprints found at high altitudes show a stride and pressure pattern inconsistent with known animals. Hair and scat samples from North America show unusual DNA degradation and mixed genetic markers. Audio recordings, howls, knocks, guttural screams, have been captured in remote forests and analyzed by sound experts, who admit they don't match any known wildlife. Then there are the eyewitness accounts, from park rangers, soldiers, pilots, hunters, scientists, people with no reason to lie. They speak of encounters that defy logic, a sudden feeling of being watched, rocks thrown from unseen hands, massive shadows moving between trees. Skeptics argue that human imagination and fear can create monsters out of shadows. Believers counter that thousands of independent witnesses over centuries cannot all be mistaken. Between faith and science lies a fog, and within that fog, the creature walks. In 1953, mountaineer Sir Edmund Hillary, who would soon become the first man to climb Mount Everest, reported strange footprints during his ascent. He dismissed them as animal tracks distorted by melting snow. But years later, he led an expedition to find the Yeti and admitted the mystery was deeper than he had imagined. In 1954, the Daily Mail funded a Yeti hunt. They returned with a scalp from a monastery in Kumjung. For decades, it was displayed as proof, until DNA analysis revealed it was from a Himalayan goat. Still, the monks insisted the real scalp was hidden away, kept from outsiders. In 1970, legendary climber Reinhold Messner encountered a large, upright creature in the high Himalayas. He later wrote that he had looked into the face of the Yeti. Messner spent years researching it and concluded it was likely an unknown type of bear, but the encounter changed his life. Meanwhile, in North America, encounters became darker. Campers vanished without trace. Truck drivers saw massive figures crossing highways at night. In the 1970s, residents of Fuke, Arkansas reported a terrifying creature dubbed the Boggy Creek Monster, later immortalized in a cult film. And in 1992, in the forests of British Columbia, a group of loggers filmed huge, distant shapes moving on a ridgeline, silent, fast, and bipedal. The footage remains unexplained. Across time and continents, the pattern repeats. A fleeting glimpse, an enormous footprint, a story that lingers forever. The world's greatest cryptid refuses to be captured, as if it doesn't want to be. Why are we so drawn to the legends of Bigfoot and the Yeti? Have you ever stopped to wonder? Maybe it's not really about monsters. Maybe, just maybe, it's about us. Deep in our DNA, we carry the echoes of a forgotten time. A time when our ancestors were not the only humans on the planet. It sounds like science fiction, but anthropologists confirm it. Just 50,000 years ago, Homo sapiens shared the Earth with other human-like species. We walked alongside Neanderthals, Denisovans, and even the tiny Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit. Some were small and resourceful, others were tall and incredibly powerful, but one by one they all vanished from the fossil record, or so we've been told. But what if one branch of that family tree didn't die out? What if a cousin species survived, retreating into the most remote, inaccessible corners of our world? An ancient relative, intelligent enough to understand the threat our expanding civilization posed, and wise enough to stay hidden from us. Think about it. When you listen to indigenous elders speak of Sasquatch, their words aren't filled with fear, but with a deep reverence. They don't describe a monster. They describe a keeper of the forest, a WildMan who serves as a teacher. A powerful reminder that not everything in this world is meant to be conquered, categorized, or controlled. Far across the globe, in the towering Himalayas, the Sherpa people say something remarkably similar about the Yeti. They believe it's a guardian of the sacred mountains, a being that punishes human arrogance and only reveals itself to those who are humble and worthy. It's not a beast to be hunted, but a spirit to be respected. Perhaps these legends persist for a reason. In our modern world, where satellites map every inch of the globe and smartphones put all knowledge at our fingertips, we secretly crave a little mystery, don't we? We yearn to believe that there are still wild places, untouched corners where nature holds her secrets close and refuses to give them up. The Yeti and Bigfoot stand right at the edge of that enchanting mystery. They are the silent guardians of the unknown, the enigmatic keepers of the true wilderness. And maybe, just maybe, as you watch this, they're watching us right back from the quiet darkness between the trees. Every few years, it happens again. A grainy new photograph surfaces, a plaster cast of a massive footprint is displayed on the news, or a shaky piece of footage emerges from the deep woods. And just like that, the debate reignites. Skeptics sigh and roll their eyes, armed with logical explanations and scientific dismissals. But on the other side, believers hold their breath, their hope renewed. The evidence is examined, debated, and ultimately remains inconclusive. But one thing is certain, the mystery itself never ever dies. Because we know somewhere out there, beneath a silent, frozen moon high in the mountains, or under a dense canopy of rain-soaked fir trees, something stirs. Something ancient. Something that doesn't need our belief to exist. The Yeti, Bigfoot, the wild men of the world. Whether they are surviving relics of our prehistoric past, powerful manifestations of our collective myths, or perhaps even beings from another realm entirely, they all remind us of one profound and beautiful truth. The world is still full of wonder. And sometimes, the greatest and most meaningful mysteries aren't the ones we solve, but the ones that steadfastly refuse to be solved, keeping that spark of wonder alive in all of us. This was the Yeti and Bigfoot mystery, the beasts that defy science. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please subscribe and hit that notification bell for more explorations of our planet's greatest enigmas. Thank you for watching. Because in this age of reason, perhaps a little belief is the final, untamed frontier.